Inner Quest explores various pathways through which you can connect with the infinite wisdom of the universe and apply it to personal, professional, and spiritual growth. This program, featuring accomplished practitioners, educators, and authors, is provided by Infinity Foundation, an innovative center for holistic studies and research. We invite you to share this journey with us.
Hello, welcome to Inner Quest. My name is Jay Stone, your host for today, and our guest is the Spiritual Vixen, Maureen Muldoon. Welcome, Maureen.
Thank you.
I'll tell the audience a little bit about you.
Okay.
Maureen went from a Hollywood actress to an internationally renowned spiritual speaker. I'd say you're probably a
Seeker and speaker.
Seeker and speaker, as well as a renowned teacher, spiritual teacher. She's the founder and host of Miracle Live365.com, and she's a spiritual director of Speakeasy Spiritual Community and creative director of Voicebox. And she's going to explain the Speakeasy and Voicebox to the audience. But I want to know, were you classically trained as an actress?
Well, yeah, I started out at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, and I went there for a summer program. And then I got accepted into the full program, and they said, if you come to the full program, you can't audition. I don't know if it's still that way, but this was, about 25 years ago. And I said, you can't audition, but that's what I came to New York to do, was to work. So I decided I was going to not go on with the studying there. And I got an agent right away, and I booked my third audition, which is kind of crazy. And the next thing I know, I was flying first class to Bristol, Tennessee, shooting a whole series of commercials for Slice, which was a Pepsi company product, and just began working, and I never looked back.
And so would our audience recognize you?
Yeah, I worked on a lot of TV shows. So I was in the Matador. I was in Dexter. I was killed in Dexter in the first, the first season. I played a prostitute on the last episode of NYPD Blue. Rosemary was my name. I had a Jersey City accent. That was a fun role. I worked as a nosy reporter on CSI. I was on Charmed. So, I worked a lot. I don't think I ever really got any name recognition, but I worked as an actress full time.
Yeah.
So.
And then what led you from Los Angeles to Chicago?
Well, I was in Los Angeles, and I was writing. So my husband and I were also writers and filmmakers. So I wrote this play with a group of women that were in my writers group and in my friend pool, called Booby Trap, the very breast show in town. And it was for breast cancer. My mom had passed away from breast cancer when I was a little kid. And so I wanted to do something to give back. And we did this production, a couple of productions actually, and we raised money. And while we were doing the production, someone from Elmhurst College came out and saw the show and said, can you come and do a production of it at our theater? Actually, can our theater company do a production of your show? And I was like, yes, absolutely. I always wanted to sit in the audience and watch the show. So, so I came out to see their production, which was awesome, and I fell in love with the area. I just had this visceral experience that I was supposed to move here. So I called my husband and I said, we need to sell the house, move to Chicago. And I thought he was gonna say, no, you're crazy, which is usually his response to me, and warranted most of the time. But it was quiet, and he goes, okay, let's do it. And I was like, what? And what I had forgotten was that he spent his first 9 years of life in Decatur, Illinois. And so he had these romantic ideas about living in Chicago, and we'd been in Los Angeles for 20 years working, and I think we were both ready for something new. So it was like synchronicities just lined up. We put our house on the market almost like a spoof before the crash, right before the crash, and it sold right away to the kid who was in Jurassic Park, actually. And we were like, okay, now what do we do? We don't have a house anymore. And we stayed in Los Angeles till our kids finished the year, and then we ended up moving to Chicago.
And is that how you got started in Miracle Live 365?
Miracles Live 365 started because I was teaching A Course in Miracles in Los Angeles, and so when I came out, I was still teaching it. I started working at the Bodhi Spiritual Center in Chicago, and Reverend Anthony Lord, who was the founder, asked me to do some talks on miracles, on Course in Miracles. So I thought, well, how can I really give this information to the community? So I said, for 21 days, you're going to get on a call with me, and we're going to do the first 21 lessons of A Course in Miracles together. And so people signed up. I had like 100 people on the call. We'd get up every morning and do the call, do the lesson, the meditation, and apply it to our life situation.
And are you still doing a daily call?
Well, actually, yeah. They said, let's do the whole thing. So that's 365 days. And I thought, I don't know if I can take people 365 days. I'm not that consistent. So I checked in with my internal teacher, and I said, am I supposed to take all these people 365 days? And the answer was, do you have better plans? I was like, damn. So I said yes, and we've been doing it for 5 years now.
And so people call a number.
Yeah, they call in a number, and people are from now all over, Los Angeles, Florida, New Hampshire. They call in the number, we pray in, we do affirmative prayer, and then we read the lesson from A Course in Miracles. I do a little interpretation of it.
And how long is this call?
It's like 20 minutes. It's about 20 minutes. We do a little meditation, and then I ask anyone if they need prayer for that day. We pray out. We usually do the St. Francis prayer. And it's just this really nice spiritual practice, and you can access it wherever you are in the world. So that's the nice thing. I didn't design it. It was just something that unfolded organically, but I'm really grateful that I'm a part of it.
And so after 365 days, you go back to that first lesson, or?
A lot of people do, yeah. Most people stay the course. So I have some people who have been on for the full 4 years. So yeah, I do it actually twice a year. I kick it off, once in July and once in January. And I have now other teachers who have come up through the program who can read with me, and if I miss a day, which I never really do, but if I had to, I could have somebody sub for me. So
and what times the call take place?
Well, we have one at 6:45 and one at 8:20.
6:45 a.m.
Yes, and 8:20 a.m. Yeah.
So 6:45 here would be like 3:45 LA time.
Yes. Yeah, but the people in Los Angeles usually get on the 8:20 call.
Okay.
So that's the nice thing. Yeah.
Okay.
And so there it's like 6:20.
And so were you doing acting and then the 365 live program?
Well, I wasn't, when I moved here from Los Angeles is when I kind of jumped ship from acting. I mean, I still have my Screen Actors Guild card, and I every once in a while have this fleeting idea of going back to acting, but I just can't imagine, I don't have the time for it, Like I run a spiritual center, I teach every morning.
Where's your spiritual center?
It's in Hinsdale.
Okay.
Yeah, it's at this beautiful chapel called Emmanuel Hall, and it's called Speakeasy. So I say we speak easy and laugh hard, and we sit in a little circle, not little anymore, now it's a growing community, it's pretty awesome, and we honor all paths to God. So we have people in the circle that are Muslim, that are Christian, that are Jewish, that are course students, that are Buddhists, and we'll talk about a general theme, and then I'll open up the conversation, and we just discuss it, Mm-hmm. So it's a really nice way of practicing spirituality without being confined to one religion.
And do you also practice meditation?
Yes, actually we have a meditation group that meets every Tuesday.
Are you facilitating that?
I don't. I have 2 other people that facilitate that, thank God. I can't do everything. I have 4 kids.
Oh, okay.
So I do a lot of the things I do teach courses.
How old are your kids, by the way?
I have a son who's 27, a daughter who's 19, a son who's 15.
And people are looking at you, they can't believe you have a son 27.
Yes, I do. I do. And then I have a transgender child, so he is 13. And
Okay.
that's kind of a new thing. It's been the last year. So yeah, I have 1 child on the spectrum, and my oldest son has battled, addiction. So it's like I've had all of these life classrooms that, are blessings, really, because I get to help other people who are navigating those things as well.
And do you expose your children to prayer and the Course of Miracles? Or?
My voice to them sounds like Charlie Brown's teacher, wah, 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 wah. So I would love, it's like the best thing that I do, and it's like the least interesting. I think they're all atheists, actually, and I think they say that to me.
Have they ever joined a phone call?
No, but my sisters are on, so that's kind of nice. My kids are, they're on their path.
For your birthday present or for Valentine's, ask your children to come.
They come to Speakeasy.
Yeah.
And I think that's nice, And I actually created that because I was tired of driving into the city to get to a circle or a community that I felt comfortable with, and so I just created one near me. And so part of it was so that my kids could be spiritually fed.
And so tell our audience more about Speakeasy.
Well, it's in this beautiful chapel in Hinsdale. As I said, we sit in a circle. We get different teachers that come every once in a while and share their philosophy. Right now we're covering the 4 agreements, and next month we'll go into affirmative prayer.
And what are the 4 agreements?
The 4 agreements are: be impeccable with your word, don't assume anything, don't make assumptions, and always do your best. They're good ones. I mean, I like to start that off in the beginning of the year, because even if you're a new student of spirituality, that's like the 101 for happiness, I think. If you follow even one of them, you're going to see major shifts in your life. Mm-hmm. That's Don Miguel Ruiz.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. Yeah. I have that book.
It's a great book.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually, the talks that I do at Speakeasy are on YouTube, so if you want to see my interpretation of it, you can check it out on YouTube.
And what is the concept of the Voicebox?
So Voicebox is a once-a-month storytelling event at Fitzgerald's, and then we have an event out in Evenflow in Geneva. And
hey, wait, Fitzgerald, that's a bar, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it's a bar. You know, some people will never go to church, and some people will never go to a bar. So I got to hit them at both places.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing. They just don't, you know, I just don't say that, you know. It's the same exact thing. It's connection, it's storytelling, and it's love.
And are people telling their own stories?
Yes. So
okay.
at Voicebox, every month we have a different theme, and the theme is always a song. So last month was Life in the Fast Lane. So I gathered up like 6 storytellers, and they'll create a story from their life about life in the fast lane. And then they'll come out to Fitzgerald's and tell their story, and then Kathy Richardson will listen to the story for the first time, and she'll serenade the storyteller and the crowd with something that she's just inspired to share.
You've got a shirt with her picture.
Yes. Yeah, this is Kathy Richardson. She's a local rock star, actually. She lives in Elmhurst, and she and I met through the internet, actually, and we became friends, and she said to me, you know, I'm a singer, and she handed me a CD, and I was like, oh, isn't that funny? Isn't that sweet, you know? Then I went out, she's like, I'm doing the show with Jim Peterick, would you and your husband like to come? And I was like, okay, you know. So we go out to the show, and she blew my mind. I don't know if you've ever heard her sing, but I've had my mind blown not too many times in my life, and she blew my mind. And so I said to her, we need to create something together, and that was Voicebox. Actually, Voicebox, Booby Trap was created for my mom, and Voicebox was created for my dad.
So you take the stories and then make songs out of them, if I got you correctly?
No, we just have the storytellers tell their story, and then she'll listen to the story, and then she'll be inspired to sing a song. And she has like a never-ending wellspring of songs that she can sing. Like, there's no song that she doesn't know.
Oh, she doesn't make it up on the spot?
No, she doesn't. Like, she'll do covers of all these different songs, and she has a lot of her original music, so.
She sounds like a very spiritual person to be participating in something like this.
Yeah, she actually does the music at Speakeasy as well. So, yeah, she's pretty shiny.
That was the divine order that you two met.
I think it was, yeah. Yes, I think it was, yeah.
Okay. And have you ever tried, like, drama therapy?
You know, after my mom died when I was a kid, and then after my first husband left me for Miss Universe, and I was devastated. Now it's a funny story, but I was like, Miss Universe, oh, you know? I was like, everyone in the whole universe thinks she's better than me, you know? And I was devastated. And at the time, I was an actress, so I just dove into doing theater, and I was like, bawling my eyes out in every scene. So it was like a poor man's therapy.
Yeah.
So, but now I actually teach improv to kids, and a lot of the kids that I get are kids on the spectrum, and it's amazing. Like, it's amazing how they can come out of their shell, and how beautiful they are, and how brilliant they are. So I don't get to do that all the time because, like I said, I have a lot on my plate. But when I do get to do that, I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Now, you call yourself a spiritual vixen.
Yes.
Why do you do that?
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah. Well, I saw, and I always thought a vixen is a woman who was very attractive, and I looked it up in the dictionary. It means a female fox, but it also means a spiteful or quarrelsome woman.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, it's like the two opposites. But I'm going to call you a spiritual firecracker.
Okay, I'll take it.
Okay.
I'm writing a book right now called The Spiritual Vixen's Guide to an Unapologetic Life. And the main tenets of it are that spiritual vixens show up. They're not afraid of being visible. They tell the truth. They're impeccable with their words. They don't water it down or sugarcoat it. They pay attention. It's a lost art. You know, everything is so multitasked right now that we just kind of aren't really present with each other. So they really practice the art of paying attention. They love like crazy, which means that you love everyone equally all the time, like no special alters. That's a hard one to do, because that means that I have to love my son the way I love you, you know, or I love the man on the street, which is crazy. You know, people can't really do that. And so the next one is what helps us with that is that spiritual vixens don't forget to laugh. Mm-hmm. You know, can't take it too seriously, but we can do our best.
Okay. I told you before the show I was involved with Unity Church, and it was, the saying was the Church of Love and Laughter.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
There's no better use of your voice than laughter and prayer.
Yeah. You know the Patch Adams?
Yes.
I once took a workshop with
you did?
A weekend workshop with Patch and hung out with him. Amazing guy.
I bet.
Yeah, yeah. He used clown. He would dress up like clown. He says, I can go anywhere in the world and always find food and a place to stay just by being a clown.
Oh, isn't that beautiful?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. So why do you lead and study and teach the Course of Miracles? Well, I should back up. Mm-hmm. Our audience may not even know what the Course of Miracles is.
Yeah. Well, I brought my book with me. So this is A Course in Miracles.
It's a well-used book.
Yeah. I like to say this is my book. I am what it says I am, and I can do what it says I can do. This book is a philosophy that helps move the student and the teacher from fear to love. And it has 365 lessons in it. And it was channeled by 2 therapists in New York City. It's been around since the 70s, and now it's in about 15 different languages. It is, so most people have this book, and they open it up, and then they close it for 20 years. Most people come up to me and say, I have that book, but it's crazy. I don't want to read it.
Well, it's interesting. They kept it for 20 years, knowing that someday they'd get back to it.
Yeah, isn't that funny? Like, I have friends who have moved and moved and moved, and they still have this book with them. So
Yeah.
I think sometimes just having these type of books around is great. So it helps. I think the first chunk of the lessons help move us into authentic forgiveness, which isn't the kind of forgiveness that says, I forgive you, but you're wrong. You know,
Yeah.
I'm going to forgive you because I'm better than you, but you're still wrong. Let's make sure that we know that. But rather, a forgiveness that says, nothing ever happened. It's all good, which is, again, kind of a tough concept. And so that's why I think a lot of people don't actually want to practice it, because we're addicted to being right. And then after we get through authentic forgiveness, fearlessness. So really moving into who you're really here to be, and just.
And it takes fearlessness to do that?
Yeah, I think we have to eradicate fear. And once you've eradicated fear, the only thing that's left is authenticity.
No, I agree with you. I once heard a psychologist say that the hardest thing you'll ever do is be yourself. Because people don't want you to be yourself, because
Yeah.
it reminds them what you're not, what they're not.
Yeah, I know. We look for so many permission slips just to be who we are.
So you were explaining the Course of Miracles,
Mm-hmm.
and then, so how long have you been involved with the Course of Miracles?
Well, about 20 years I've been. I actually came in contact with it when I was over in Medjugorje. I went to see the Blessed Mother, who's showing herself in Yugoslavia, Medjugorje. And when I was there, somebody asked about a book, and I ended up hearing the title, A Song of Prayer, actually. And when I came back to New York, my life took a few U-turns, so I didn't actually get to the Song of Prayer. But I had this huge unforgiveness towards my former husband in regards to our divorce. And I was looking for a way to get to authentic forgiveness. And I had done the 12-step, and I was doing the prayer of Jabez, and I was trying everything that I could. But every time I thought of him, I had this toxic feeling. Mm-hmm. So I knew that I wasn't there yet. And so I kept praying about it, and I ended up coming in contact with A Course in Miracles, and I opened it, and it said, you know, nothing real can be threatened, and nothing unreal exists, and herein lies the peace of God. And I knew that if I had the peace of God, I'd be free of unforgiveness. So I was like, I don't know what this is, but I'm going to take it home. And I started reading it, and I still didn't know what it was, so I started teaching it.
Yeah.
And
Isn't that one of the lessons in the Course of Miracles? You teach what you have to learn?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and all healing is mutual, and I don't know what anything is for, and there's nothing my holiness cannot do. I mean, there's not one bad lesson in it. Every single lesson can help move you forward. So, and I've been studying it for, like I said, about 20 years, and I still find something new in it.
And you're if 20 years and you go through it, there's a lesson a day, so that means
yes.
You've gone through the book 20 times.
Well, it took me 7 years to get through the first round of it because I was a very reluctant student. That's why I became a teacher. I say to my students, like, the reason I'm a good teacher is because I was the worst student. So and you don't have to do it perfectly. And you might miss a day, a week, or a month, but I like to say, like, don't let that make you miss a year of it. Like, it's not an easy course, and it's not for everyone, but it's a really deep well. And if you are interested in dipping into it, you'll find true happiness. I can say that. And
so the Miracle Lives 365, that's your focus, the Course in Miracles. And
yes.
But it sounds to me it's a very practical book because it helped you to forgive your ex, and you find peace.
Yes.
Did you ever think that your mom's cancer may have been that she was carrying around some toxic emotion and you broke the cycle?
Yeah, I actually had cancer too. My husband actually had cancer too. And I do think that our body responds to our thoughts. I do think that. I had a lump in my throat, and I wasn't going to go to a doctor because, I had this agreement that hospitals were mother killers, because my mom, died going through, the medical industry. And I didn't realize that. I was kind of subconscious. And then one day, I had all my babies at home. Like, I had home births just so I could avoid hospitals. That's insane. Yeah, like, that's a crucifixion, man. So one day I was teaching chakras, and I said, we have to tap into our anger, and I was kind of modeling an exercise, and I said, well, just for a minute, just rampage on what you're angry about. People in the Midwest are so nice, that sometimes they're not tapped into their anger. In Jersey, we're tapped in. So I was modeling this, and I said, I hate the medical industry, and I started to get weepy, and I was like, oh, what's that about? So I went home, and we all have an internal teacher. This is what the Course teaches us, and that we can go to it with everything. So I went to my internal teacher, and I said, who I choose to call the Holy Spirit, and I said, what is that about? And then it showed me a picture of being in the hospital with my mom dying. And I thought, yeah, that's my first memory of a hospital is connected to my mother's death. And then my internal teacher said, the hospital didn't kill your mom. The hospital prolonged her life and gave her comfort in her dis-ease. And I had never seen that version of the story. I had thought, and so my mind was blown again. And I was like, oh, so that helped me to move into letting go of that story and becoming free of it. But yeah, it had me for a good time.
And that helped you overcome your own cancer?
So at the same time, I had this lump. Thanks for bringing me back to the point. I had a lump in my throat, and I wouldn't go to the doctor. And every time I met with a doctor, I thought the doctor was a jerk. I thought, I don't know if I can curse here, but if I could, I would. But I thought the doctor was an A anyhow. So my husband was like, no, Maureen, they weren't jerky. You're just interpreting that way. And I was like, no, they were really jerky. And as soon as I had that revelation in my mind, boom, I met up with the most perfect doctor who was so kind and generous. She's like, that thing's got to come out. It was like a golf ball size. It was actually a hockey ball size of cancer in my throat, but it was contained, so I didn't have to go through a whole lot of processes after that. But yeah, so
how many years ago was that?
That was about 3 years ago. So I know that. But so when I had the revelation, I was like, I'm going to go to the hospital, but it's going to be a ritual. I'm going to go and lay back my trust in the competent hands of this amazing community of healers, and let them care for me. So that was a big trust fall, but it really was my outward demonstration of I'm not carrying this around anymore.
Well, the throat is the chakra of the communication, and you strike me as someone who's communicates quite well, but maybe this has taken you to the next level and to the next level as part of your healing and personal evolution.
As we let go of those unforgivenesses, we cannot but become more impeccable. How could I carry around that old broken down story and still be of service to somebody who was dealing with a health issue? You know, now I can say, yeah, go to the pill, the prayer, the practitioner, the physician, do what you got to do, but just heal it in your mind as well.
And then your husband, is it all right if you share that story?
My husband's cancer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the healing is,
Yeah.
it's your personal awareness and transformation. It just not only shifted your mind, it shifts your body as well.
Yes, absolutely. You know, I think he had it when he was younger. We were just friends at the time. It was before we were married. It was like the year before we were married. And he was in stage 3 cancer. And,
That's pretty advanced.
Yeah, and he was very young. And so he went through all of the process with it. But, and the doctors told him that he would be sterile from chemotherapy. But he did have a healing around, I think for him it was about self-worth, you know. And so when he met up with that glimpse of death, I think that helped him to be softer around, you know, taking it easy and not overworking, you know. And so he ended up not being sterile. We have like I said, we have 4 children.
Well, and but you've the Course of Miracles. You've had already experienced miracles.
Oh yes, absolutely. And I think, you know, miracles aren't some supernatural special event. Miracles happen all the time. In fact, when they're not happening, something's gone wrong. A miracle is an extension of love that requires no sacrifice.
That is beautiful. When you're not experiencing miracles, something has gone wrong. That
Yes.
is very profound. Is that your own observation, or is that in the Course?
That's from A Course in Miracles, but and it has the 50 definitions of what a miracle is. But my interpretation of what a miracle is that a miracle is an extension of love that requires no sacrifice, and that it's always mutually healing. But there are some really beautiful, principles of a miracle in the book. One of my favorites is, a miracle happens when one who temporarily has more gives to one who temporarily has less. And the reason I love that is because the word temporary. Like if I continue to give to you and thinking you have less than me, we're going to set up a special altar, you know. But in A Course in Miracles, it really beckons us to remember that we sit knee to knee and eye to eye, and that we're equals, you know. And I might have a specialty in this one philosophy, and you might have a specialty in that one philosophy, but underneath it all, you know, we're equal, and equal parts of the great mosaic of God, you know. So it's our responsibility to show up.
Now, you've mentioned you have a child in a spectrum, and I'm sure you see your child as a miracle, or bestowing many miracles on you.
Yeah, I see everything as a miracle. You know, Einstein says you either see everything as a miracle or nothing as a miracle.
Yeah.
You know, so I do see everything as a miracle. And no, I'm not walking on water. I get hung up here and there too. My kids are my greatest teachers for sure.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, Einstein also said as you touch a petal on a flower, you move all of nature.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I kind of believe that.
Well, Maureen, we've got about 30 seconds. I'll throw it out to you. Use that time any way you wish.
Oh, wow. Well, I guess one thing that I would love to encourage the listeners of the show is to continue to tell your stories and find your truth. And, you know, come out to Voicebox and check out some of the storytelling there. But even if you don't do that, like, tell your story, you know. Tell it to your mom, to your dad, to your kids. Let your stories spill out. Stories are a very healing modality, and they help us to access a greater idea of ourselves.
Well, you did a great job telling your story as
Thank
well
you.
as enlightening us on the Course of Miracles. For more information about Maureen Muldoon, Infinity Foundation InnerQuest Talk Show, stay tuned to the credits at the end. Until next time, wish you good health, good spirits, and good fortune. Maureen, it's been a...
For more information about this show, our guest, Infinity Foundation, or any of our other programs, please visit our website, infinityfoundation.org, or call us at 847-831-8828.